It started with a lie that I didn't see coming. A lie so small, so innocent looking that I laughed at it when I first found out. But that laughter turned into silence. Silence into guilt, and guilt into something that would change how I saw love, humanity, and myself forever. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of a genuine heart, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let's keep stories like this alive and spreading light in a world that often forgets how to feel. When I first met Isla, I thought she was just another girl my friends were trying to set me up with as part of one of their ridiculous matchmaking schemes. I was 26, working long hours as a software designer, constantly glued to my screen, living in a small apartment that echoed with loneliness. I wasn't looking for love, not really. I told them that countless times. But my best friend, Hamza, wouldn't let it go. He said, "You need someone to remind you what life feels like again." So, one evening when the rain had just stopped and the air smelled like wet asphalt and chai, I found myself sitting in a small cafe across from a girl who smiled shy and wore a loose pastel sweater that seemed a size too big for her. She had long dark hair that fell over her shoulders like a soft curtain. And her voice, when she finally spoke, was quiet, almost fragile, but steady. Her name was Isla. We talked about movies, books, music, all the safe things strangers talk about. But there was something different about her. She listened. Really listened. She didn't fill the silence with chatter. She let moments breathe. That night, I went home with her laugh still echoing in my head. And for the first time in months, I caught myself smiling without reason. Over the next few weeks, we met off at walks in the park, late-night texts, random coffee runs. She always sat on the same side of the bench, always wore loose jeans, and sometimes hesitated before standing up. I noticed, but I didn't ask. Some people are just shy about certain things, I thought. But then came the night, everything changed. We were supposed to meet for dinner. I got there early, but she didn't show up on time. An hour passed. Then too, I called. No answer. Just as I was about to leave, my phone buzzed. It was Hamza. He sounded strange. "Bro, there's something you need to know about Isla." My heart sank. He hesitated, then said, She's not who you think she is. She's half-paralyzed from an accident. She hides it." I froze. Half-paralyzed. I didn't understand. My mind scrambled through every moment we'd shared, every hesitation, every pause, and suddenly it all made sense. The way she avoided crowded places, the careful way she walked. The next day I went to see her. She was sitting on her balcony, sunlight touching her hair, her wheelchair tucked beside her, like a quiet truth she'd kept hidden. When she saw me, her face changed, not in surprise, but in resignation. She already knew I knew. "I didn't tell you because people look at me differently after they find out," she said, her voice trembling. "I just wanted you to know me first, not my condition." She paused, staring down at her hands. "You don't have to stay if it's pity." Those words hit me harder than anything I'd ever heard. I didn't know what to say. The world around us fell silent. The city noise fading like it knew this moment mattered. I looked at her. Not the wheelchair, not the tremor in her fingers, not the weakness in her legs, but her eyes. Those eyes still held the same warmth, the same light that made me laugh, made me feel alive again. And all I could think was how many people had walked away from her after hearing those same words. In that moment, I realized something. Love doesn't always enter your life wrapped in perfection. Sometimes it limps at struggles. It hides behind fear, but it's still love and it's still real. I stayed. At first, it wasn't easy. Her apartment was small but full of life. Sketches on the wall, small potted plants. She'd named a bookshelf overflowing with novels and art books. She told me about the accident. How a speeding drunk driver hit her when she was 21, crushing her spine. Half her body had never fully recovered. She'd gone through surgeries, therapy, nights of crying into her pillow and mornings of pretending everything was fine. She lost friends, dreams, and a version of herself. She thought she'd never get back, but she fought every day. I started helping her with small things, grocery shopping, reaching the high shelves, walking her dog, but she was fiercely independent. She hated when I did too much. "I'm not fragile," she'd say. Even when her voice shook, and slowly she let me in. There were bad days, too. Days when her legs hurt so much she couldn't move. Nights when she cried because the world treated her like she was broken. Once at a restaurant, a man whispered too loudly. "He's just being nice to her." She heard it. I saw her eyes glisten with her. She tried to hide. When we got home, she didn't speak. She just sat by the window, silent, distant. That night, I held her hand and said, "I'm not here because of pity. I'm here because you make me want to be better. You make me feel human again." Slowly, something grew between us. Something stronger than fear or shame. She taught me how to see beauty in small victories. Standing up without help, making it through a day without pain, laughing even when life felt cruel. In return, I taught her how to believe that she was more than her scars. Months passed. We fell into a rhythm. Soft mornings, shared meals, quiet evenings. We weren't perfect, but we were real. One day, I took her to the beach. Her first time since the accident. I remember how nervous she was, afraid of falling, of people staring. But when the wind hit her face, and the waves touched her feet, she smiled, a real unguarded smile that broke me inside. She looked at me and whispered, "I forgot what this felt like." And in that moment, I knew I'd fallen for her completely. But love, I've learned, is often tested at the moment it's most fragile. A few months later, Isla got sick. Her condition flared up unexpectedly. Nerve damage worsening, constant pain. She tried to hide it, but I could see it in her eyes. She started pushing me away again, saying she didn't want me trapped by her struggles. I stayed, even when she shouted, even when she told me to go. I stayed because I knew she was fighting her demons, not me. One night, she broke down completely. She cried in my arms, saying, "You deserve someone whole, someone who can walk beside you." I held her tighter and whispered, "You already walk beside me." Just in a different way, that night changed us. After that, she began painting again, something she'd given up after her accident. Her first painting after years was of the sea. Calm, vast, endless. She said it reminded her freedom. She signed it with a small heart and the date we met. And when I proposed to her on that same beach 2 years after our first visit, she cried. Not out of surprise, but relief. Relief that she was finally being loved. Not in spite of her pain, but with it. We got married in a small ceremony with only close friends and family. When she walked down the aisle with support. The room went silent. Everyone was crying. Her steps were slow, unsteady, but to me, they were the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. Today, we've been together for 5 years. She still has her wheelchair on bad days. I still help her when she needs it. But mostly, she helps me to see life, to value love, to appreciate the strength it takes just to keep going. Sometimes when people ask me how I fell in love with her, I smile and say I was tricked, but not in the way they think. I was tricked into seeing that love isn't about perfection. It's about courage. It's about choosing someone every single day, even when life gives you 1,000 reasons not to. So, if this story touched your heart, if you believe that love can heal, rebuild, and redefine what it means to be whole, please don't leave without liking, commenting, and subscribing. It helps stories like this reach more hearts that need hope. And before this story ends, I want to ask you one thing. Would you have stayed if it were you? Comment your answer below. Because sometimes the most beautiful love stories aren't about fairy tales. They're about broken people who find each other and decide to